there's demons all around. There's demons in human form. There's demons. That's the enemy. That is the distraction. So a demon can just be something as small as a distraction. You know what I'm saying? So we're all fighting a battle. We're all fighting demons. That's why I said it's about who is being defeated versus who is defeating. I defeat them motherfuckers. I'm not playing with y'all. You feel what I'm saying? Because my God is stronger.
Teyana Taylor just won an Icon Award. She's been in major films. She's being featured alongside A-list names in Hollywood, and people are asking the same question they have been quietly asking for a while now. Did she earn all of this? Or did she know exactly how to move inside a system that rewards people who are willing to play along? Because when you trace her story from the beginning, it does not start with a grind-from-nothing discovery moment. It starts with access. And access in this industry almost always comes with a cost that does not show up on the invoice. Let's go back to where it actually began. Teyana Taylor's mother is Nikki Taylor, a model who was active in the industry in the late 1990s and early 2000s. That connection alone opened doors that most people spend years trying to find. Through her mother's industry relationships, Teyana ended up in spaces that a kid from outside the business would not have access to. One of those connections led her to P. Diddy, who by 2006 helped facilitate her signing to Interscope Records and Pharrell's label Star Trak. Now, before you immediately jump to conclusions about what that connection means, sit with the nuance for a second. Industry nepotism is real. It is everywhere, and most people who have ever made it in entertainment have benefited from some version of who you know. The question is not whether those doors existed. The question is what she did once she was inside them. The first thing she did was choreograph. She got the opportunity to work on Beyoncé's music video for Ring the Alarm, and in an interview, she talked about being called in as a teenager to teach Beyoncé a specific Harlem dance, the chicken noodle soup. She was 15 years old. She showed up, did what she was asked, and then threw in extra moves, because that is who she is. That moment stuck, and the connection to Beyoncé's world was one more door that opened from it. But here is where the story gets complicated. Because not long after, Beyoncé released a performance that incorporated movements Teyana felt were hers, without credit. That situation never got fully resolved publicly. Teyana spoke about it without making it a prolonged public battle, but the experience of watching your creative work get absorbed without acknowledgement left a mark. It is the kind of thing that happens to young artists from the outside who get pulled into rooms with bigger names and do not yet have the leverage or the legal structures to protect what they bring. By 2008, Teyana released her debut single Google under her deal with Interscope and Star Trak. The label situation did not work. By 2010, she was dropped. In a later interview, she talked about her experience with Pharrell in ways that were candid and complicated. She said he was the first person to sign her, that she looked up to him as a father figure in an environment where she felt vulnerable, and that when things went wrong, she did not feel like he fought hard enough for her. She was not accusing him of malice. She was describing what it feels like to be a young woman in an industry full of competing interests, where the people who sign you do not always have the power or the will to protect you from the people around them. She left and signed to Kanye West's Good Music. The same pattern repeated. The push from the industry never came the way she needed it to. She was in the rooms, she had the deals, and somehow the momentum never translated into the moment she was working toward. That cycle, access, opportunity, disappointment, repeat, is either the story of a woman who kept being failed by the industry, or the story of a woman who was not quite ready when the opportunities arrived. Depending on who you ask in those circles, the answer is different. In her personal life, things were moving simultaneously. She dated NBA player Brandon Jennings, and that relationship ended when he got with her best friend. That kind of betrayal is not just painful, it is the kind of thing that publicly defines how people see you if you are not careful about how you navigate it. Then she started a relationship with NBA player Iman Shumpert, had children with him, and spent years building a family while her music career was in a holding pattern. When that marriage ended in 2023, Teyana did not stay quiet about it. She went online and talked about the divorce in real time, about mediation sessions that Iman did not show up to, about feeling like she was being made to look a certain way publicly, about giving grace to someone who she felt did not give it back. She was raw about it. Some people respected her honesty. Others felt like some things should stay private, and that airing it out was doing more damage to her reputation than whatever he had done. What happened next in Iman's personal life was genuinely tragic. His father passed away not long after the divorce became public. Iman broke down in an interview talking about it, visibly undone in a way that reminded everyone watching that behind the social media back and forth were real people dealing with real loss. Whatever had happened between him and Teyana, that moment was a reminder that neither of them was just a character in an online drama. Teyana, for her part, shifted her focus entirely. And that is where the story takes a turn that a lot of people were not expecting. She started booking film work, real film work, not cameos. She got featured roles. She appeared alongside names that carry serious weight in Hollywood. She was photographed hugging Julia Roberts. And then she won an Icon Award, stood on a stage and received recognition for her body of work from an industry that had spent years opening doors for her and then letting them close. The reaction in that room was genuine. People screamed. Her peers celebrated her. And Teyana herself said in an interview afterward that she was still in shock, that it felt like she was going to wake up and find out it had not happened yet. So the question becomes, how do you get from dropped by Interscope to winning an Icon Award? The cynical answer is that she kept the right relationships, that the connections established through her mother, through the Diddy orbit, through the industry circles she moved in for 20 years, eventually paid out in the form of recognition that came with being a familiar and trusted face in certain rooms. The more generous answer is that she kept going when most people would have stopped, that she navigated a divorce in public, a career that stalled multiple times, personal betrayals, and an industry that does not protect young women, and she came out the other side building something that was genuinely hers. Both of those things can be true at the same time. Then came the Netflix situation, which complicated the narrative all over again. Teyana has been publicly vocal about her Christian faith. She talks about God regularly in interviews, credits her faith with helping her through the hardest periods of her life, and presents herself as someone whose belief is central to who she is. So when a commercial for Netflix aired featuring her doing a tarot card reading, complete with psychic energy and divination imagery, people noticed the contrast immediately. The criticism came fast. People pointed out that tarot and divination occupy a very specific place in Christian theology, that the commercial seemed to directly contradict the beliefs she had been publicly claiming, and that the timing, right after a major Christian-coded speech at an awards show, made the juxtaposition too stark to ignore. Her supporters pushed back and said artists do not necessarily personally endorse every project they appear in, that a commercial is a job, not a confession of faith, that holding someone to perfect doctrinal consistency across every professional decision is an unreasonable standard. But the question underneath it is the same one that has followed her whole career. How much of what Teyana Taylor presents publicly is authentic, and how much of it is knowing what the moment requires and delivering accordingly? She built her name in rooms that did not build her. She survived things that broke other people. She is standing on stages, receiving awards, and getting photographed with Julia Roberts. She also did a tarot card commercial for Netflix and sold it with the same energy she sells her testimony. I genuinely do not know if that makes her a survivor who learned how to play the game, or someone who always knew the rules and has just been very careful about which parts she shows. What do you think? Did Teyana Taylor earn her place? Or has she been playing the game the whole time? Drop your take in the comments. Subscribe if you want more like this one.